Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. I actually wasn't planning on doing one of these this week. I am sort of obsessed with another video game right now called Eco, and I really haven't played much Star Citizen at this time. But Chris Roberts decided to come out of his hole that he's been hiding in for months now. I don't think we've seen him since Pillar Talk at CitizenCon last year, or was the last time that they had those Pillar Talks that they gradually put out. And yeah, we haven't seen much of him. And I think a lot of people started to get concerned by that he wasn't around. So he responded to a post by Cameral, who is, if you guys don't know him, he is a very active member of this community, YouTube community as well. I'll put his link in the description of this video because I think he deserves a ton of recognition. He does all sorts of tests on the game and to see if things are working. He was one of the most active people in testing shield holes, things like that. Chris Roberts comes out and replies to one of his posts where he was frustrated about something not in the game yet. And for me personally, the details of that initial reply are irrelevant. What matters to me is that he showed himself and that he said something. Because for all these people that are just saying he's not working on the game, he's not doing anything, he's not coming on video, he's here. He's active. He's doing stuff. He's a part of the project. He's still leading the project. And that was what was important for me. He then, in, I think, a part of that post, was it? Let me think. I don't think it was in a part of that post. It was in the next one, yeah. So then he replied again and said, I normally don't do this. But he then replies and starts defending the company from people who are overly negative about it. And I think what most people would think that I would say is, well, we're angry because of X, Y, and Z thing and justify it. There's no justifying in any times that I've gone overboard and gotten angry and said things that I shouldn't say about people, right? If I should take any time to apologize for those, I should do it now. What CIG is doing is what any good leader would do. He would stand in front of his men, women, his people that he leads, men, women, children, whatever, I don't know what we're supposed to call people these days. So I apologize if I offend anyone there. But he stands in front of his company and is taking all the bullets right now for that negativity. He's saying, hey guys, if you were just a bit more critical and not nasty, it would go a lot further for you. And in that way, he's right. I've gone overly ridiculous and got ignored. And I went constructive critical and I got responses. And that's how they work, and that's true, and that's how any normal person would work. If you were being an asshole, I would ignore you. If you were being constructive and saying, hey, I really think you should do it this way because of this and that and the other thing, then I would listen, right? Just any normal person would. And then, yeah, I think he just goes on about how the internet is this way lately, and it's just kind of frustrating. And then he talks about the development process and the way things take time. And a lot of what his post goes based off of is that we're frustrated about the amount of time things are taking. And I think the last thing I'll say before we get to the callers is we are frustrated with the amount of times things are taking, and justifiably so, because you made estimates and you were completely fucking wrong. I was hoping to enjoy this game fully by this time, like every single backer did in 2013, right? My frustration is justified. Me being a dick about it, there's no justifying being a dick in any situation, in my opinion. It just happens, and you apologize for it, and you move on. The problem here is that the frustration and the vitriol and the problems that are happening within the Star Citizen community now are not necessarily due to the lack of time. It's to the lack of communication. So he does make a post a part of this post, there's a small paragraph that says why they removed Salvage. It's literally the smallest paragraph in the entire post. Here, I'll bring it up here for us. It's literally the smallest part of the post. And, you know, it says, Salvage got pushed back, didn't get pushed back on a whim. It's because we wanted to wait for iCache and physical damage. We thought that made more sense. And the thing is this wasn't stated very clearly. They had a calling all devs on it, and it was stated what is missing, more or less. It wasn't very clear, right? And it wasn't as succinct as, hey, we're delaying Salvage. We're delaying Salvage until we have these things. Hey, we're delaying Salvage, by the way. This is why we wanted to delay Salvage. End of story. Any statement you should make should end any criticism of the idea of you're not communicating to us. And they don't do it. They just don't state things in a very direct way. This paragraph was very direct. Very direct. We didn't do Salvage because we want this, this, and this. Okay, Chris, no problem. Get working on those things. Here we go. I'm excited for those things now. Now I'm waiting for those things. You know? So that's sort of what I'm frustrated about, and I think a majority of the communication of the community is frustrated with the communication, less so the amount of time it takes. I think a good portion of the community understands just how big of a game you're making, just how difficult it is to make it. You just need to communicate to us better about what's going on at any given time. The Squadron 42 stuff. Listen, a lot of us are waiting for Star Citizen. Squadron 42 needs to be, you know, we now know that half of the teams are working directly and exclusively on Squadron 42, not on Star Citizen, through this post, right? So there's a lot of things that we need to deal with in terms of that, right? So where we need to be communicated to about what's going on, we need Squadron 42 out in order for Star Citizen to be a thing. So people are like, hey, talk to me about Squadron 42, please. And then it's like, hey, I'm over here. And then the only way to get heard is when you completely take over a Reddit and derail it into, where's the Squadron 42 video? That's what it has to come to, is because you made us do that, right? You forced our hand into being ridiculous internet trolls in order to get paid attention to. Because at times, if you're just constructively critical, which is what you say is good enough, it's never been enough. Missiles have been broken for literally years. Years. And it took being completely obnoxious idiots in-game and out of game in order to get those missiles fixed, in order for those to be a priority. That's what it feels like to us, right? And that's why those things end up happening, is because sometimes the only way you get heard and the only way to get Chris to come and make a comment like this is to be a jerk. So with that said, let's move to the callers. Our first caller is unmatched. It is 10:36 a.m. I am tracking this. We're going to give unmatched 10 minutes. All right? 15 at the most. Unmatched, welcome, man. I got you on a timer, all right? We got approximately 10 minutes. So you got to be focused and together. You're becoming a meme on this podcast, and it's actually pretty funny, I think. So let's see if we can unmeme you for a day.
All right. You can hear me good, right?
I hear you perfect.
All right. So we're talking about these two posts that he made, right?
Yeah, more so the second than the first.
Yeah,
the first post is more just like, hey, he's here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the first post, like, at least for this, when it comes to both of these posts, in summary, at least it moved me out of the kind of I moved from like toxic criticism back to, like, normal criticism, because to see him actually acknowledge us in a good way in the second post was actually good. So I was happy that he came out of the woodworks finally after a while,
Sure.
But the thing is that did he come out like because we were all of us were starting to get into a frenzy? I've seen a few Star Citizen creators. I'm not going to name them, but like besides like you, I know two other guys that are pretty like they have 10,000 plus subs on YouTube, and they mostly focus on Star Citizen. They were starting to get a little antsy too in their most recent content until Chris Roberts came out. So I'm just sitting there wondering, did he just do that because he saw us start getting, a little get into a frenzy,
Mm-hmm.
or did he do that, naturally? I hope it's naturally.
Well, I think
Um,
this kind of shit's been going on for a long time, where the developers have been attacked. His like even his wife has been, people have gone after his wife. There's been all sorts of things that have just been going on and on and on for years. And you know what? They did the typical marketing team would tell you to do, is just ignore it. It'll go away. And to some extent it does. But, the people who are like overly critical have becoming less, like, I'm talking the most ridiculous level of critical. They've been becoming less and less and less relevant over the years. Right? Like, we don't
yeah,
hear Derek's Smart name ever anymore
yeah,
because nobody
not
cares.
anymore. Thank God, thank
Right?
God. I don't have to hear that
Because
guy
no one
anymore.
cares.
I think he's on the deep end for everything.
But when it became your most active backers and your most, like, when it started taking, what I've noticed is that when it starts to take over Spectrum and Reddit, that's when they do stuff.
Yeah,
Specifically
yeah,
Reddit is when
yeah,
anything's at the top of the Reddit, they react to it.
yeah.
Squadron 42 video, this stuff, everything. When anything gets to the top of the Reddit, that's when they react. So I think it was a bit reactionary, or it was finally that it just bubbled over and he had enough. He had enough
Yeah.
of all these people that he's hired, who he respects, appreciates, and probably, like, loves or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure he feels some connection to people that he works with. When he sees them being treated with disrespect, he felt the need to do this. He didn't want to do this, but he probably felt the need to do that.
hmm
Yeah.
Um, so again, I just hope it's not because we were getting too antsy, and a lot of the creators were getting antsy over the quietness. But you totally hit the nail on the head when you said it's not because of things taking time. It was more because lack of communication.
Yeah.
That's the thing that got me, like has been getting me angry up until these two posts, is that here man, we gave you all this money, just communicate with us. We don't mind, waiting or whatever. That's, we
Sure.
know what we signed up for. Just communicate what you're doing. And from the second post, I hope the now that I'll be able to see what the teams are doing in real time, um, I hope it's as good as he says it is. Because if it is, then I won't need to watch ATV and stuff like that. I'll just, like, pop on my phone, maybe look at the roadmap, and that'll be it. I'll see where things are and stuff like that.
Sure. And
Uh,
and if I can jump in real quick for the people that may not know what Unmatched is talking about, in the second post, Chris described in a bit more detail of what we would expect from the roadmap. So the new roadmap. So it is going to show what teams are working on Squadron 42, what tasks they're working on. He also said that there are 11 teams working on Squadron 42 exclusively, 12 teams working on Star Citizen, and then there's a number of teams. There are 58 teams in total. Then there are a number of teams that do both. So yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead. I apologize, but I figured
yeah.
just to give the clarification there for people who may not know.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. The thing I did like about the second post where he got into the criticism is I like the statistics that he showed with the team, and who are working on what at what time. I like that he told us that at any given moment there's 30,000 people playing per day, unique accounts, and at peak times we have uh peak time around the years we have over 100,000. I like the statistics in that. That's the thing that
Yeah.
really made me like the second post at least.
Yeah.
um uh I I saw the first post. I didn't like when I first did it. It didn't really do much for me. The first post about him talking about basically it was dynamic gameplay he was talking about. Um, if I'm using that term correctly, of how these room systems are going to work and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, we heard about that, but the first post, it didn't do too much for me. I was just like, all right, just Chris Roberts, selling us more of his vision. It's the second post that made me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
When he went to detail with what the roadmap is going to show, and we'll no longer be guessing how long we have to wait until Squadron 42, or how long we have to wait until uh the stuff come online for
Sure.
Star Citizen, the PU itself. I'm mostly waiting. I'm mostly waiting for well, I'm most I'm most I the thing that I want most is Star Citizen itself, but I want Squadron 42 to hold me over, so I don't have distract me basically on until the PU is more developed. So that's why I care more about that roadmap.
I just
But
really want Squadron to tell a story of,
uh,
in a universe that I think we all in there's no doubt through playing Star Citizen, I want stories to be told in this universe, right? It's so
yeah,
cool looking. It's so fun to be like. It's so nice to be landed on a planet, at a station, in a city, on a train, right? Like all those
yeah,
things. To
yeah.
tell a story within this universe is going to be something super wonderful.
Yeah, I just want it to be mind blowing to me. That's all I really want to expect. I want to see new technology. I want to see obviously good storytelling, and
Emmy, I'm gonna answer the call.
not to
It's okay.
it,
Come.
you know
Hold on, Unmatched. Emmy just busted in the room. Come here.
I forgot.
You've never been on Answer the Call before, so say hello.
Oh my God,
This
hi.
is my wife, Emmy, everybody on YouTube that may have never seen her before, so thank you for interrupting. I appreciate it. Unmatched interrupts everybody else's calls, so it's okay. Very nice. That's cool.
I made this.
There.
Alright.
I'll talk to you later. All right, Unmatched. I'm sorry.
All right, just finish up what I was stating. I just want and get back on topic, because we're off a topic technically, and I'm trying not to do that. But I just want Squadron 42 to distract me, be mind blowing, show good technology for the amount of time we waited, and just be a big distraction. Just be a big distraction, so I don't have to focus on the PU and when this technology is coming on and that technology is coming on. So that's
Yeah.
why the roadmap that he's talking about in the second post, it got me it got me excited that I'll be able to see when all these things are going to be done. And I
Mm.
hope that he's not like overstating what it's going to do.
Yeah, we'll
And
see. I mean, I think there are always, right? Like they're the ones making it. They're the ones who are excited to give it and put it in our hands. I think they're always going to overstate what it'll do, and I think they also underestimate her inability to understand game development and what's happening, right? So like if they give us their internal stuff, not everybody's going to be able to understand what's going on there, no matter how clear they make it. I think the roadmap will still frustrate people quite a bit, and I also don't think Squadron 42 will hold you over long enough to not get frustrated about the wait for Star Citizen, maybe.
yeah,
But
yeah.
we'll see.
Just to get a
Just a break.
there was just the ending part where he says it won't take 10 to 20 years. I was like, I hope it doesn't, man. You're 52, you're in that age range where celebrities like yourself just start randomly dying. So I hope it doesn't.
What the hell, dude? Unmatched, Jesus. Bad thoughts. Keep no. I'm touching on wood. I don't wish that stuff on anybody. I know you're not wishing
Yeah.
it, but
No, I'm not wishing it. I'm just saying, like, when he mentioned that part at the bottom. So,
well, the whole thing is
it's
it's taken 8.
yeah.
It's taken 8. So, like, hold
Yeah,
on.
but
What
he
did he say
basically spoke on the
exactly?
time.
That's the
He
best
said-
part. Nor will it
he
take
said-
10 to 20 years to deliver. Well, we're at 8, Chris. So you got 2 more, buddy. We'll give you 2
Yeah,
more.
Yeah.
It's not 10 yet. So he's got 2 more years to deliver on like the vision of this quote unquote not pipe dream. So that's kind of funny, but it depends on when you describe when Star Citizen it started development. But yeah.
Yeah. Just to summarize things before I go, the first post didn't mean much to me at
Yep.
all. The second post is what got me out of that anxiety-filled, anger-filled, stage that I was in when it comes to like, where is this guy? What is he doing? What is he doing with our money? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It calmed me down for a little bit, and I'm happy that he did do it. And I just can't wait until the roadmap comes out so I could see what they're doing in live time. And
Sure.
that's basically all I have to say.
When he made the first post, before he made the second post, because there was some time in between, how did you feel about the initial post? Were you just happy to see him?
No, like I was again. I was wondering why. I hope it's not because we're in a frenzy. That's why he's posting. But even the post, it didn't do much for me because it was just more of him selling his vision of dynamic gameplay or immersive gameplay or emergent gameplay, whatever term you want to use it. It didn't do much for me. It's the second post and statistics in the post that soothed me a little bit, along with a sneak peek at what he's saying that the roadmap is going to show us in real time what these people are doing, and it's not the first post at all. I was still feeling the same about it,
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, let me let you go. Unmatched. That was the unmatched call of my dreams.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one, man.
All right.
All right, the next guy up is Tonka Sue. Tonka Sue, welcome, dude. How you doing?
Hi. Good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfect. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. Welcome. So,
Thank you.
I guess let's start out because with where we just left off with Unmatched. What did you think initially when you saw the first post? Before we ever get into the second, more discussion-worthy post, were you just happy to see him? Like, what was your initial reaction? What'd you feel with after a little bit of time?
Sure. So, I mean, first of all, relief because it's been like 6 or 7 months since we heard from Chris.
Sure.
So, yeah, that's the first thing.
And that was pre-recorded stuff.
Yeah.
For months before, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you think about, because they had the same clothes, so we figured out that that was before CitizenCon. Okay.
Yeah. He's not Asmongold. Same shirt. No, it was the same time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. So yeah, I think it was about time because, and I'll get back to that later. But to stay on topic on what you asked on the first post,
Mm-hmm.
I understand what Camera was saying, and I still. When his response, I don't know if you saw his response directly to this when he said, "Hey, what you described with the room and the fires and the pipes and everything, that's all fine and dandy, but what you described to put it in place, it's going to take 5-10 years. You're making this more complicated than it needs to be." I'm not going to say I agree with him 100%, but I think there's a little bit of truth in what he says. Is that
absolutely
what I thought about, and I think that's a good analogy because I work in the movie business as an editor, and one of the first rules is that if you don't put your energy in something that the viewer is not going to notice, if they're not going to notice, there's no point putting effort into it. And the analogy I'm going to do here is the elevators. If you remember, the very first elevator we almost ever saw in Star Citizen was the one at Lepsky, right? And what was
with the ship outside and they were flying.
Oh yeah. But you remember when Chris said, "Hey, this is not like one of those fake elevators. It's a real actual elevator that does what an elevator does with. So it's an actual elevator." And okay, in this case, I understand because it has a glass and everything, so you can't really cheat it. But here's the thing: as that elevator aside, we have now elevators that don't behave like real elevators. They cheat that. They're just moving boxes into stations.
Yeah, we see them flying across the world sometimes.
Yeah, because they bug. But when they don't bug, as you, the user, does it make a difference?
No.
That they behave like elevators or not?
You know, it did make a difference because when they moved from realistic elevators to unrealistic ones, it improved my experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But when it comes to immersion, it didn't change a thing. Like your suspension of disbelief wasn't affected. And I think that's what he means when he says, is it really worth it to go all of this trouble? Couldn't you have something where there's a little bit of RNG and as long as we, the player in the ship, experience what you describe, but you can, it may be like, okay, if someone shoots you like in the back of the ship, there's a probability that, oh, this system is going to fall apart, rather than, oh no, it's the bullet that goes through the thing that hits the pipe.
Yeah.
If the player doesn't know any better, is it worth it? And that, I think, is the big question here. That being said, we don't know everything, so I'm not going to go too far into this. But yeah, that was my reaction, is that I think I'm 50-50 on this one, on Chris and what Camara was saying. I think there's a point to be made there.
I think Cameral's point is good. It's just the whole thing is while Cameral's point makes sense, you have to remember Jared says this all the time, and he is, I believe, speaking for Chris when he says this, is that what they want to do while trying to develop Star Citizen, I guess, is that they're going to try to be as real as possible, and if that doesn't work, usually but if that doesn't work, they pull back. So the elevators were an example of that. I think a perfect example of that is they tried to go as realistic as possible. Oh man, this just is not working, and then they pull back. So I think that's where Cameron is like maybe not understanding that aspect of the way that they decided that they're going to develop. This is what they're going to do. They actually have been quite communicative about that. So while it's frustrating, this is how we're doing it, and I don't see them changing it. Now, do I agree with Cameron that simple is better? Yes, of course, but not if simple is better when you're planning on doing it again. I mean, we even have the guy who made the elevators better in the Twitch chat right now, and he said teleporter pads would have been better in every single way. It's just, it is what it is. I think he was hoping I didn't say that, but I did. Sorry, man. So yeah, I just think it should be more simple. In a lot of ways, in the game would be better, and I agree with that for sure. But Chris never set out for simple, and I think most of us knew that. So getting upset with that, I have a hard time agreeing with.
If complex improves the player experience, yes. If complex just is something you can brag about as on a technical level, and the player experience doesn't change, there's no point as far as the player goes. That's my issue with the mindset, really. But yeah, so we, because I know there are other colors. I think the more juicy part is obviously the second post. And the second post, I just want to come back to one thing you talked about, which is the communication problem.
Sure.
I mean, one of the top responses to this one was mine, actually, and it's pretty much saying what you already said, which is, the problem is not the weight. I mean, we've been backers for years, so we're very patient. Like the people that said we're not patient are full of shit. We are very patient. The problem is that if we go back to the Salvage example, you've been teasing Salvage from 3.2, then it was 3.4, then it moved, and then it disappeared. And what happened when you finally removed it from the roadmap entirely? We got one line of response, and that was removed due to shifting priorities. That's it.
It's just horrible way to explain things, and it creates the chaos that exists now.
Exactly. When you leave a void, people are going to feel it, and they're not going to feel it with sugar. They're going to feel it with salt. So and that's the core of the issue. And right now, that Salvage was eventually. That's the other thing I was saying, is that it took them a year with the stars aligning with the calling all devs to actually address Salvage. That's not normal. We should have had a yellow post like days, if not immediately, when the thing was removed, explaining, okay, this is why we removed it. no one talked about Salvage once they did the calling all devs. Proof that it's not the delay, it's the information.
Yes.
That's what people are salty about. So I hope, because that's kind of what frustrates me about his post, that it makes it all about the delay. It's not just the delay; it's just the information that's shitty.
It's
no other way to say it.
absolutely the information, and I've been saying it a million times, is that Jared or somebody else in video content needs to handle this. Is because this is one big thing, is that we talked about how many there's typically per day 30,000 different people will enter Star Citizen. That doesn't mean 30,000 people are playing it at any given time, but in any given day, 30,000 people do join and play Star Citizen per day. That's pretty low for a game that's, a live service, is my understanding. But at the same time, whatever. That's about how many people I think watch their YouTube videos or used to watch them. There was a few thousand that voted on the Ship Showdown so far, not 30,000. So the big thing here is that I may have lost my train of thought, but I'm trying to catch back to it. What was the last thing you said? I apologize. I'm making a point that is relevant, but I just lost myself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm actually a bit at the same state. But no, we were talking about, you were talking about Jared, and we were talking about the communication issues. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a small amount of people that are watching. Yeah, the 30,000 people correlates to how many people watch these videos, right? So that's your active community. That's the people who are posting on Reddit. That's the people who are getting mad on Spectrum for the most part, right? So
yeah,
it can't just be in a post. It has to be in a post. It has to be on your comm link on the front page as a post for some things. Like that's what they started doing with Roadmap Roundup. Roadmap Roundup looks like something that somebody throws together in 5 minutes every Friday. Right, that's a problem. So,
and
go ahead.
I was going to say I'll go back on that later, but I'll let you finish your point first. But yeah,
okay.
The roadmap roundup is something worth talking about. But finish your point.
For sure, and communication-wise, it needs to also correlate into the video content. So either at the beginning of every ISC, or more importantly, at the beginning of every SCL, hey, this is what happened this week, guys. Okay, and you run down all of your communication speak towards your community. Hey guys, some things got pushed off the roadmap. This is why. Clarify a little bit on the post. And then when you're taking questions, you sprinkle some of that in as well. Hey, Jared, I was curious what you meant by this. Hey, whatever. And then you have the community team that's, taking those posts in, and you can share with them. And I think that will help with communication a lot. And it will also help with, hey, while some developers painting some shit on a screen that honestly not a good majority of those 30,000 people care about, then you can, answer some of those questions maybe. That would be nice. Help with the communication, have things about delays be more of a back and forth instead of hey,
exactly,
this is what's happening. But go ahead, Tonka Sue, I'm sorry.
No, it's good. I wanted to hear the entire chain of your thoughts. So, but yeah, bouncing back on the roadmap roundup, it's a good thing they introduced that, because again, the roadmap roundup occurred when I actually complained when they moved Salvage, I think from 3.4 to I don't know which one, but it was just moved from the roadmap, and it was temporarily removed from the roadmap before it reappeared again, and we had no justification at first. I complained about it. That's when they said, "Well, you're right. We have to have some a few words explaining." And that's when the roadmap run happened. The problem is that when they did that, every time they said something, it was just a meaningless PR line. And where I want to give them credit now is that in the past, ever since the Squadron 42 video drama, it seems that Molly, I want to give her credit because is doing a lot more to not just do a PR line, but explain, okay, we removed this, but this is why. And she did this for the object push and pull, for example. She really went into detail and said, hey, we removed this. This is why, because we worked on something. I think she said we were working on body dragging. This took more time from the team that is responsible for that. And just so you know, push and pull isn't just like pushing a box. It's this and that.
Yeah.
It's more. So that's the kind of response we need. We need a human response when they sit down and think a little bit and say, okay, they want to know what's going on, or they're going to freak out. So we have to go into a little bit more deeper into detail and explain to them why we remove stuff. No, don't just say we remove stuff. Explain why we remove stuff.
Yeah.
And it seems that's what they're doing recently. So I hope they keep doing that, even if there's still negativity. I hope they keep doing that, because that's the main issue, is that there's a lack of human response. It's becoming, in the recent year, it became extremely EA PR level of bullshit. And
Yes.
that's not something they can afford to do, because we're not customers, we're backers.
Yep.
Huge difference.
And the more they got to the PR level, the PR speak, the more we started doing the opposite and being like, don't worry about it, take your time, whatever. We started getting more and more ragey. Rage started rising, and those lines just crossed, and they met at some point, and Chris had enough, and he made the post, and that's fine, but I don't think he fully understands why.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I think it's important that he asks that we understand their point of view, but they have to understand our point of view. I mean, I agree 100%. You confess, I'll confess now. I myself have said things I regret on the Spectrum forums. It happens. We're human beings, but I don't think the reason why we are frustrated is unwarranted. And the reason, I think it's good that Chris acknowledges that he understands, but the problem is that he doesn't understand.
Yeah.
It's not the delay. It's the fact that we are kept in the dark. No matter what they say. Sure, is it better than most developers? Sure. And someone made that argument that they communicate more than most developers, but Star Citizen is not most games. It's a game that is an anomaly that should not exist, and it only exists because the community allowed it to exist. Let's never forget that. And there's a currency that is required for that, and that's information.
Yes.
And if we don't get that, then we have every right to complain. Every right to complain. So
it's just I think he's right in a sense. The way we're complaining isn't the best either. It's constructively having constructive criticism, like this show, like how you're saying things right now, is the way it needs to be communicated to them. I've tried forever. I haven't gotten anywhere. Maybe today's show will. Who knows? But the whole thing is, that is the key here. Is that there is we are an investor in this company. We give money, and in terms. And the terms of the Kickstarter and everything like that was that they communicate back to us about what's going on, and they've gotten less and less. I don't like the idea of open development. I actually think it's a pretty bad idea, but they've gotten less and less open, and it is quite frustrating for people.
We still don't know the state of Squadron 42. I mean, that's the new Salvage now.
Yeah, exactly. It will be something after that, right? It'll be. If server meshing ends up taking a bit longer than expected, it'll be server meshing. There's always going to be something. They need to stay ahead of it. But finish your last thought, and then I'll have to go to the next caller.
Yeah. So just last thought, and then I'll leave. The passage when he was talking about the different gameplay loops that we have. Like you, I was frustrated when I read that, but then when I thought about it, I think he just poor choice of words, and what he means is that they want to focus on that to get them where they need to be, so that they have a good foundation of a game that is on the level of other games. I don't think he meant that what we have right now is good, because it isn't. But that's it. I won't take any more of your time.
Sure, no problem, man. And I really actually appreciate all the time you've taken so far. It's been a great show, and you've had a lot of great points. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on.
Sure, thank you for having me. Have a good one.
I hope to talk to you soon. Bye now.
Sure. Take care.
Bye. All right, next caller, Gorgon the Destroyer. What's up, Gorgon? How you doing, buddy?
So I wouldn't normally do this, but I know you've invested a lot of time into the Star Citizen, and no, I'm just kidding.
What's up, man?
Not much. So this was a lot to sink in, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this because I knew that there was a post but I didn't find out about the response until this morning.
Yeah, so I think like first thing we got to do is give Commural big props, like not just for like the original post about the Aurora not venting its atmosphere with the doors open, which
Just
by the way
everything
never
he's
got
done.
answered properly. Yeah, well, specifically his follow-up where he was like, Chris, no, I'm not taking your bullshit this time. I want a fucking answer and you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And like, you know, he's like, yeah, that was really good. But like I think a lot of this, like there is some good stuff that we can pull from this, like, you know, getting finally concrete information about how many devs are working on Squadron versus Star Citizen,
Yeah.
you know, and how many
It was
people are
surprising-
a part of both of those things.
Yeah, it was a surprising number as far as how many teams, at least, right? I wouldn't have thought it would have been
Right.
that.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that half of the company effectively would be working on Star Citizen, the MMO live service game alpha thing that we're playing every day when it runs this poorly
It's
and
not
everything
half
is so
the company,
freaking
though.
broken, right?
It's not half the company. 11
Well,
plus 12 is 24, and
yeah.
that's not even half of 58. So, yeah.
right.
So a majority of the teams that work on both are probably working on Squadron. So, you know, to be realistic about that, it's a kind of messy number.
Right. Quick maths. My
Yeah.
bad. But you get the sentiment, right? You know, they
Yeah.
have a sizable amount of the team working on Star Citizen itself, you know,
more sizable than
outside
expected.
of the bubble. Right. But, and like another thing is like the amount of players that we get in the run of a day, right?
Mhm.
So let's look at that number. So like 30,000 people playing every day. So that's not concurrent player count like you would see on Steam, right? Not like a peak like moment where people are all playing the game at the same time. This is over the course of a day. So that means it's like 1,250 people that are playing over any hour. So at any hour of the day, there's roughly 25 servers of Star Citizen up and running with 50 people in them,
Yeah.
right? So, and I think that correlates like directly to the kind of community engagement that we're getting,
Sure.
because like 1,250 right now, the upvote count for the second reply that we are talking about in this podcast is 1.1 thousand.
Mm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In,
So,
an,
like,
in an
that's-
epic post.
Right.
But I don't
that would
even-
draw
I don't
the
click-
attention of
I don't
most
click
like
the
concurrent
upvote.
players, right?
I don't click the upvote button. I'm not even logged in.
Right, exactly. So there's a percentile of error in there and all that,
Sure.
but like, you know, you could say that like for at any hour of any day, there's like about 1,200 people that are itching for information about Star Citizen, like, right? That are playing the game probably at any given moment. Out of 2 million accounts, which then we don't know how many of those accounts are actually human beings. But
I mean,
I
I have
digress.
like 20, so yeah. There's
yeah,
just be
But-
careful. I don't know what are you on push to talk or something?
I am. Yeah.
Okay. I think when you push, I can hear a little the mic moving or something like that. So just be careful. Be a little softer on it or something.
Right. Sorry. Yeah.
No worries.
I have Chris Roberts disease where I talk with my hands and stuff. So when I get riled up about topics, I start making a lot of movement.
Yeah.
So,
Gotcha. It's all
yeah.
good, man. I just like some people were saying, I hear something. Yeah.
But I promise I'm absolutely not really Chris Roberts. I swear by my spaceship. But yeah, like a lot of this stuff like that I had problems with the post is kind of exactly what Commural followed up with as well, is that he started off with a simple question, right?
Yeah.
Like, why did we get demoed the room system so long ago? It was never formally like stated that it is in the game, you know,
Yeah.
like saying like, oh, it's out in the patch, right? And then the Aurora doesn't vent its oxygen like you would assume that it would, because there's these big doors that don't have any sort of like force field for air like you see at the front bay of the Bengal in the like cinematic marketing material, or like the Prowler that we see in game here today.
Yeah.
So what's up with that? And instead of going, oh, well, that's a bug, or, oh, well, you know, we had to rework the Aurora, so
It's a
something
legacy
got
thing.
messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
whatever.
some excuse like that, we get this whole big song and dance about ballistic penetration and like how that works into like fire systems. And
This
it's
is
like,
why
what are
you don't
talking
want,
about?
That's why you. I was on. I don't even remember. I was on another podcast. I can't think of it right now. The SC Leaks podcast this week, and that like, though they wanted Chris on, I think, was their point of view, to be on camera more often. This is why you don't want him on camera, because no matter what you talk about, he starts going off on these crazy tangents. This is like, it's sort of in line with what he's talking about, but not. Like, all of a sudden a bullet is penetrating and you're like, what is going on? You know, it's just like
he can't stay on topic.
No,
you know, because as he goes on to say, the game is very systematic.
He is the unmatched of Star Citizen development. But yeah, it's just...
Yeah, see, I told you it wasn't Gorgon the Destroyer. It was unmatched the whole time.
But, like, you know, and he goes down to say, like, at the end of that first post that, the game is incredibly systematic. And, you know, like, all these things work together, and that makes it very technically complicated and all that stuff. And that makes sense. No. But... the problem with the communication is that very same point, is that, like, whenever we ask a simple question about one specific, like, bespoke part of the game, all of a sudden it turns into this big blah 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 blah. We're talking about everything all at once shenanigans.
Yeah.
And then we never get a real answer to the question that we were originally asking. Yeah. It's like, you know, like, why? And if all of this is true, and it is so systematic, and it is in game, and it's just a misunderstanding, why am I suffocating in turrets in half of the fleet?
Yeah, like,
why am I boiling to death
it wasn't
in the turret of my Vanguard when I'm getting picked up from Klesher?
Because it wasn't set up properly. But why is it not being set up properly every single time?
Exactly.
You know, and that's the one where we go, like, every single time this happens, you don't set it up properly, and it's given to, and like, the ships in those states, like, obviously throughout Evocati you get ships that are in that state, right? But the idea of it even making it to an open and wide PTU in those states is where I would feel, as a backer, that feels unacceptable.
Right.
And that's when you don't constructively criticize anymore. That's when you say, you feel incompetent to me. That's when you say that. And it's just because I'm taking the information that I'm given, and then I go, it's not making sense. When I try and put two and two together, like, the circle's not going in the square hole. It doesn't make any sense to me, you know? So it's just, that's where it feels that way, and that's when you end up calling them incompetent or whatever. Now, I don't feel like it's appropriate to ever do that. I agree with what Chris says. It's the wrong thing to do. But I feel like sometimes you get pushed over the edge, and you do things that you're frustrated beyond belief, that you say things that maybe you don't really mean, but at the same time, like, you sort of do, right? Like, it sort of feels like I've been being punished over and over and over again for things that shouldn't be happening. Like, set up the ships properly, have documentation on how to do it. It should happen much. When it comes to ships, that shit should be on lockdown, working perfectly every time by now. It's the only thing that you've delivered over and over and over again, many times. We should be able to set these up properly. But again, I don't know what goes into it. So that's where you go, like, how can I call you incompetent when I wouldn't know the first step? So yeah, it's tough.
And like, yeah, like, let me throw, like, two of those points together there, because, like, we're talking about, like, quality control and, like, checks and balances through Evocati to PTU to live, when we expect things to be at least somewhat working, unless there is some systematic reason for it to not be working, right? Sure. Like, if it says in the patch notes, hey, this specific feature is broken because XYZ, workaround, don't fucking do it. That's fine. Everybody understands that. Everyone can go, oh, okay, I just won't do this, you know. But, like, he goes on to say, like, oh, well, Star Citizen has all of the main gameplay loops. And by the way, all of the stuff in the game for these gameplay loops is there. Yeah. But the problem is when I go to log into the game and actually play it, okay, cargo hauling. First off, we don't have enough supply and demand, and there's a huge exploit so you can trade remotely. So that's broken. Commodity trading is literally cargo hauling. Next one, mercenary. Who's hiring a mercenary right now? Absolutely bumfuck nobody, except for killing random mobs, you know.
The mission board killing pirates is their mercenary description right now, I think.
Exactly. And that's like way subpart of what we expect Mercenary to be in frickin' Star Citizen, right?
Sure.
Pirate, completely non-functional. We've talked about that a million times, right?
Yeah.
Boxes disappear. You can't take cargo forcefully from people without destroying the ship.
Piracy
And then
equals
after that,
murder.
yeah, you murder people, and then like maybe if you're feeling not so spiteful that day, you ask them to pay you to not kill them, and they just tell you to fuck off anyway. So that's fucking completely bust.
Yeah.
Bounty hunting, chasing a marker over somebody's head and having them combat log before you even get there. Absolutely sick. And then mining, the big meta right now, where everyone is over on aerial in the middle of nowhere, chewing the rock, making a bunch of money to do absolutely nothing with.
Sure.
Right? So like, how is it that we have all of these core gameplay loops of a space sim already in the game and none of them work when we have these checks and balances of internal testing with the devs and then Evocati with an NDA and then PTU over 3 waves and then into live and none of it works? Well, yeah, that's why you get people saying you guys are fucking idiots on Spectrum and stuff. Is that reasonable? No, it's completely irrational. No one should be lashing out like that. But, you know, there's correlation and causation to that, right? You know, like you can see why people are frustrated and why they're lashing out, you know, like, you know, and like you go and look at like, of course, I'm a combat guy, so we're going to go and do the combat song and dance right now. But from all the way back from even before I was backer in 2016, people have been talking about how combat can be improved in very reasonable, very white paper, very presentation type of ways. You look at guys like he talks about like, oh, I see you're invested a lot of time into Star Citizen. You want to know who's invested a lot of time into Star Citizen?
A lot of other
Malagos.
people.
Malagos and Galoith and the Renegade Squadron and fucking Whitesnake. You know, like these guys that are building out all of these charts and making all of these videos and doing all of this testing and doing all these reports.
I gotta stop you. I gotta stop you.
Action.
I gotta stop you for 1 second though. That doesn't mean he's not listening to them. Just because he didn't respond, because he normally doesn't do this, but he felt that he had to. Yeah, that he felt that he had to
change in the game.
Sure.
Like that's the thing. Like combat has been on a steady decline since its inception, effectively, and then now we're only starting to come around in 3.10, like 8 years later, and it's a lenient getting better.
Well, they also
like,
said they're not done, and they're gonna take time. You gotta be
all systematic, and we gotta wait for this and that.
I know,
but,
I know.
Like,
but you actually have your team that's actively listening to you, and I know that there's more that goes on.
How did that team get made, right?
Oh,
so,
yeah,
like,
from you guys raging. That's how that team got
exactly
made. Yes.
So that's why that happens, you know. So that's my 2 points that I just wanted to make right there, was that like if we have all these checks and balances and we have all these systems and they're all in the game, why aren't they working? And how come I have to go and make a huge Spectrum post where I call people idiots and use a whole bunch of curse words, and then that's when we're going to respond? That's when we're going to generate a team. That's when we're going to go and make a post about like reprioritizing the roadmap. Like, come on, like we need. First off, like we need to get stuff in, and like I'm not going to use the word finished, but we need it to be playable. Like, you know, trade should be profitable, you know, like combat should feel fun for at least like, you know, some people that want to do combat, and like piracy should be a thing, period.
Sure.
Like, and tangible and doable in the game. Like if you're going to say that it is a profession in the game. And when we come to you and we get all pissed off about it, like it's not just because we're jerks. You know, we want to go and provide good feedback. Like a lot of people do provide really, really, really good feedback, like unreasonably good feedback.
Yeah.
But we don't see
insane.
any action on that for literally 5 years. And then we feel that it's ridiculous. You know, it makes us feel naive for backing in the first place. It makes us feel stupid in broader gaming forums where people are like, oh, you got scammed? How much money did you spend? Like, you know, that doesn't feel good. So we want to see more turnaround, and we want to see more QOL, and like, especially for things that have been in the game since 3.0, like, can it just work? Like one of these days, like, please, like, we just want it to work. Because if we get a reasonably good QOL pass where this stuff that's been in the game for 5+ years is functional, then we can start focusing on the new systems, getting at the content that we actually want to test personally as backers, and then provide that really, really, really good, I've been up all night for 16 hours straight playing my favorite game and it was awesome feedback. That is, I think, like the big miscommunication. I just think that he's completely out of touch with live right now, and with making all these big grand explanations and not getting to the actual point.
Yeah, perhaps. It's hard to disagree with that. I just think what they need to understand is, like, you, by his definition, are being unreasonably critical or rude during this call, right? But what he doesn't get is that the points, the amount of time that you took being constructively critical and being respectful has boiled over in a lot of ways for a lot of people due to lack of communication, lack of progress, lack of many other things. And that's what he's missing in this post for me, is that's what he doesn't seem, based off of this post, to be aware of. It's the lack of communication about what's going on, and the lack of understanding that we are being constructively critical, and we feel like we're not being listened to. And the communication goes both ways. Like, hey, Malagos or whoever, that's a good idea, but we want to try it this way. Like, I've heard one thing, and here's the thing, is I heard something that was the most positive thing I've heard yet. Is one of the things that I feel like I've heard Whitesnake say, and I actually want to have Whitesnake on the show as a guest. We tried to schedule it, but the schedule didn't work initially, and I just lost contact with him, so I just have to reach out to him again and get him on the show to talk about the flight model. Is I feel like I've heard Whitesnake and other people say, we want accelerations turned up. That would make ships more like, less slidey, things would move a little bit better. And something they said,
light fighters.
Sure. And something they said on SCL was, we're going to try it this, we're going to put all these things in, then if we feel we need to turn up the acceleration, we will. So that tells me that they hear you, they have these steps they want to take first, and then they're going to do it, right? So when it comes to that stuff, I hope your concerns are being heard, are being listened to. I think the problem is that I have one sentence on an SCL that I can go to say that I think they heard what you're saying, and I think they want to try something that they think is going to work, and then they might try what you're saying, right? But they don't communicate that very well to say, that's exactly what we want to do, because I only have one sentence of an example of where that exists.
Yeah. Like, and that's the thing, like, we want that kind of blunt, empathetic, like, immediate, like, we understand and we are working on it, like, right now, kind of communication. Not these big, grand, well, actually, when there's a bullet and it penetrates and then it loses velocity, but it's an armor-piercing round, and, like, whoa. We were talking about atmosphere in ships, like, originally. And sure, you could be like, oh, well, it put a hole in the spaceship and that vents oxygen and all that stuff. But, like, yeah, we're talking about a very specific use case in the game right now. Why doesn't it work? We don't need all of this song and dance. Just say it's broken, it's outside the scope of that feature, it's waiting on something else, or we will fix it. That's what we want. Like, right?
Yeah, sure. Well, all right, Gorgon. I guess we'll let you go here and we'll get to the next ones. But yeah, I appreciate it, man. And I think it's important to share where you're coming from, right? Because you're a member of the most upset portion of the community, which is the combat players.
Yeah, like just underneath Salvage, I would imagine. Like,
yeah,
and those guys are pissed.
Yeah, and I think somewhat justifiably so. Even though, I think we all agree with what Chris is saying is, these guys are human, right? And we should treat them with the respect we want to be treated with.
Absolutely. Like, I have had absolutely nothing but stellar interactions with every single employee of Cloud Imperium Games, and they are all fantastic people and do deserve your respect. But when Chris Roberts then comes out and does like a whole like book on some fantasy scenario that looks like it belongs in Expanse and not Star Citizen, like, that just really ruins my confidence,
Sure.
But I'm going to go and get my blood pressure back down and play some Tarkov instead.
All right, man. Talk to you later, Gorgon.
Later, boys.
Bye now. Damn, that's what turned that my blood pressure goes up in Tarkov. All right, bringing on Jabloka. Jabloka, how you doing, man? Welcome.
Hello, I'm good.
Yeah, you're great.
Yeah, I also want to talk about the communications. It's a communication problem.
Sure.
Like they have SCLs and like large forum posts, but they need to condense it because the majority of the community is not going to listen to an hour-long SCL or read 2 pages of forum posts.
Yeah, that's why I said like the beginning of SCL. So everybody that knows, hey, I want the community update, beginning of SCL, or end of ISC, or a separate thing altogether.
Exactly. For example, with Salvage, they have stated it multiple times that they need ICAS and they're waiting for physical components, blah, blah, blah. But they haven't stated it outright in a roadmap roundup, for example. Like, this is what we need, these are the dependencies. It's going to take maybe another year or whatever. They don't even have to state the dates because they have done that in the past. And
we won't believe them anyway.
People were right.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly. Just state they still need the pillars, and that we can rate, but we understand.
Sure.
And it's also about time. It's been long, but I think people like don't care anymore. We know it's gonna take at least another 5 years for most things that are gonna be in. And for example, with Pyro, we have an idea why they don't going to put it in Q4, but they can state server meshing is not ready yet, instead of the vague response we got on server meshing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it was too vague. I thought the server meshing thing was pretty clear, succinct. This is what we're working on currently.
Yes, but it's not stating it's not done. Like it's stating it's not done, but it's not stating. Yeah, how do I say this?
What it would take to get it done?
Yes.
Or how long it will take, or when, or that kind of stuff?
Yeah, most things. It's not a timeline. It's just, we're still working on it. So it can take another year. That's I
mean, that's what you think.
Yeah, that's what I think. It's most pillars they're vague about the pillars because that takes the most work. That's the main issue for me, at least.
Yeah.
Like I want an idea when we can see some gameplay loops for because Chris was kind of right. Yes, most space sims have all these things we have now in game when they're finished. Things are not finished, and Chris stated that if they polished every single thing we have now, then maybe. But it's not polished, and they don't need to polish it. Just need to add stuff, polish it a little, and it should be fine for now.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, what do you think about the general idea? I mean, what I tried to start with everybody was when he first made the post. How did that make you feel? Were you happy to see him? And
I don't
go ahead.
I don't care. Like, I don't know what people have about this perception about Chris. Yes, he's the founder. Yes, we bought it because of what he said. Sure. But he's not. He's coding, but he's not making the game. Let's just say that.
Yeah. We
can hear from the directors that are actively working on the features. I don't need to hear about Chris. Chris always goes about stuff that we can see in 2-3 years. Like he keeps talking about the vision and a dream. That's fine, but it's the same things we heard 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing has changed about the post. What he said the same stuff 5 years ago. So nothing new for me. I just want to know what the people that are working on iCache and on the physical stuff are working on. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I think we all want to know when we're able to play the game. I think that's just what it comes down to. We're all excited to play that game that he talked about all those years ago, and I don't need him to sell me on it anymore. And every time he gets on camera, he sells me on his vision. I'm sold, buddy. I'm in. Full tilt. Everybody, I think, is full on in on your vision for the most part. It's just, it's time to do something different. You know, you don't need to pitch me your game anymore. I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's
So
not the 10 for Chairman Days anymore that he talks about.
exactly.
Everything that's gonna be in the game, that's gonna be in the game, that's gonna be the game. Every small thing we ask, and maybe that's the problem why it's taking so long as well. But
Sure.
yeah, and also when he was talking about the roadmap stuff, I don't think it's gonna solve a lot of things. Yes, we can see what they're working on because I think most people just want to know if it's close.
Yeah. And people in Twitch chat are saying he's selling to new backers. That would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, true. He's selling to new backers, but most people just watch the Twitch streams these days.
I
Like-
disagree with that. There's
Yeah?
Twitch viewership is max like 2,000. Nobody's watching Twitch. Nobody cares about Star Citizen on Twitch. In the grand scheme of things, you have a lot more viewership on YouTube, and even then, it's still a very small community. So yeah, I still don't think the main source of information of this game is from content creators, as much as it may be for the people who watch this show or watch on Twitch or whatever. I still think a majority of the communication comes directly from the company.
I disagree a little bit with that. Every time like a big streamer comes to Star Citizen, a lot of people in the chat are, I haven't heard about this game, I haven't seen about this game, I only heard, it's a scam, but it looks pretty okay.
Oh, I guess I'm missing
Every
your
time-
point then. I thought you meant like the general Star Citizen.
No, not the general
Okay.
SC. No, not the general streamers, because those people have an audience that already has Star Citizen or already knows about Star Citizen.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry,
Like,
I misunderstood
I
your
mean
point.
about the. Oh no, no problem.
Mhm.
But I think like also YouTubers. Have you seen the YouTube video about that Bad Bananas did?
I
He's
saw
like
I saw it pop up on my feed, but I didn't watch it.
It's like a machinima YouTuber.
Okay.
And it has 500k views or 600k or something right now. And a lot of people are quite positive when they actually play the big game. They're gonna be surprised how buggy it is, for sure.
Yeah.
But it does generate hype and sales.
Absolutely. Of course.
But yeah, I don't think Chris is still the face of the company, but not as much that he was in the past.
It feels
my
like there
opinion.
is no face. That's I
Yeah.
think what the kind of problem was is Jared definitely isn't, right? But he's the
Yeah.
only face we see.
Exactly. We don't really have a face anymore and a general idea what the vision is anymore. Like what is in his mind Star Citizen, what is it gonna have, in what state, and what kind of gameplay will it have, instead of the things we heard in 2014.
Yeah.
Like what is the idea of Star Citizen in 2020? Because it has changed a lot with the full planetary systems, with all the physical stuff. It has changed what the
Sure.
original vision was. So I want to hear what the new vision is with the new technology they have.
Okay. Well, all right, Jab. Is there anything else you want to add before I let you go?
No, that's it.
All right. We're gonna bring in the next caller here. CJ's Best. CJZ Best. How you doing, man?
How's it going?
Good.
Pretty good.
Let me turn you up just a tad.
Oh,
All
I
right.
can turn up my.
No, it's fine. I got you. No worries. How you doing? So, what do you think about all this?
Pretty
Initially,
good.
what do you think when he first
Slightly
posted?
disappointed in Chris's essentially response, and can I actually explain why?
Yeah.
I'm an old school backer. I backed at the essentially the beginning of 2015 region. And so I still have, and I pulled it up in order to read this. There's a specific section here from the Kickstarter backer page, which I ended up receiving back then.
Sure.
And it says, though the limitations of technology may slow us, we will always do the best for you. If it breaks, we will fix it. There may be delays and there may be changes, but we recognize that such things are inevitable and would be lying to you if we claimed otherwise. But when this happens, we will treat you with the respect that you deserve rather than spending your money on public relations. The way that Star Citizen has been over the past year completely goes against this one paragraph.
They're
alone.
100% spending money on public relations because that's what it feels like.
Entirely.
And I don't feel like I'm treated with the respect I deserve anymore.
Here's the following part. When we need to change a mechanic or alter something you believe you should be in the game, we will tell you exactly why. They don't do any of that anymore at this point.
They don't do a very clear and succinct good job of it. They do, though. I have a hard time saying that is a false statement.
In Chris's point right here, he ends up saying that at the very beginning of the year that they wanted to do the roadmap change, but none of us knew about it until July. That's almost halfway through the year and no one knew about it. They will constantly turn around and come up with an idea behind the scenes, but then not turn around and inform us. And 6 months into the process, they wonder why it is that we're upset when we weren't told.
Yeah. The Carrick thing was the one that when we found out because of a Citizen Con, I always go back to this because it pissed me off so much, was the Carrick is sitting on the roadmap planning to be done at Citizen Con the timing around Citizen Con, and they have a freaking tablecloth that says you can get it in February. You had to order that tablecloth. That takes weeks. There's no way that you're communicating us what's happening exactly. That was a huge line of miscommunication, and that was a delay. That was something massively important. And yeah, I mean, there are times where they definitely don't is that the pledge that you're reading that I keep hearing about now?
Yeah, it was the original one.
Gotcha.
Yeah. For me, between the Carrick and I would say the 2015 multi-crew Gamescom demo, this guy brings up the atmospheric room system being shown off in 2016. We were shown it at Gamescom 2015 as well.
Yeah,
they also showed off the Idris in-game. Yeah, that Idris flies over at the end of it, and they fly out, and they get the Derelict, which we didn't get Derelict ships either at this point. Which I'm still fairly disappointed in that. There's just so many big features that they show off in these grandiose, large manners that we never actually end up seeing. And so I think the community gets so upset with not only a lack of complete open communication, but essentially we get a buildup because we do sit here and we suck in all this information day after day, week after week, and we hold on to it subconsciously without realizing it. And so little bitty features like derelict ship, cloth movement, hand-to-hand combat first being shown off in 2015, we end up getting more and more upset as it continues to get pushed back without realizing everything that's been pushed back.
I'm trying to find the Gamescom video for everybody.
I think if you just type in 2015 multi-crew Gamescom, it should pull right up. It's about 17 minutes long.
I have the whole video, I think, is the actual...
I mean, so many things. I remember back when they first showed off the capture, the Idris gameplay, and they were dragging characters. We just got that for bounty hunting. It's been 5 years, and we just got it, and we were told that was a live build. There's so many little things. 2017 with the sandworm, they showed off the knife combat. We just got that in the past year. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Without realizing it, as a community, we absorb all of this information because we do, and we take all of it in, and we subconsciously get more and more upset as we see features that are not put into the game.
Yeah.
So I think a huge issue with the frustration that Chris is talking about, that us community members are throwing at him and the developers, is because of the information that we're taking in without them fully ever putting into the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, every little bit of thing they say, we take it and it's not with a grain of salt. Yeah, we hold it, and and when you go against that, we're not trying to gotcha necessarily, but it's like, hey, why didn't you talk to us about that?
Exactly.
Why don't we have a say in that process? Maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't.
They brought up in the original pledge. That's why it was very disappointing seeing Chris say that, because the first thing that I saw it of was the original pledge email that I got with that photo. It's just a PNG photo. I'm pretty sure anyone else can get it at this point, stating that if it breaks, we will fix it. I know so many things that are broken. I know so many features that we've never got. I know so many items, more than I can probably even think of at this point. If I sat down to write a list, I would probably only nail half of the features that we've never gotten that I was shown. And so I do have a little bit of vitriol inside of me at this point, years into backing and seeing all of this, simply because I've seen it, I was shown it, and I was told that it was a live demo, and then never explained to why we never got it.
Yeah.
It's like, I think they need to be more open on communication. I hope that the new roadmap is going to help with that, but I don't know.
I don't know
really
either. Yeah, I just I don't know if you feel the same way I do, but I almost feel numb at this point.
Yeah, I do too. I quit playing in 3.2, along with about I think my friends list right now on Star Citizen is like 64 people, and none of them are online anymore.
Yeah.
Of which I have bought people hundreds of dollars of ships for because they backed the game. They only had an Aurora. Oh, you like the Prospector? Here's a Prospector. Oh, you like the Retaliator? Here's a Retaliator. Like I've spent so
Hey,
many
I like
thousands
the
and
I
tens
like
of
the
thousands of
I like
dollars,
the
but it's
Idris.
sad.
I like the Idris. I
Yeah.
still play.
Yeah,
I like the
You
Idris.
still
I like the Javelin as well.
I've got Polaris's. Yeah, I still haven't been able to snag a Jag, sadly. But I'm still someone who backs it. I definitely have quit following the information, which taking a step back and having been someone that I daily, like every single day, my schedule was Board Gamer made a video, Noob made a video, they made a new post on Spectrum, they made a new video on Star Citizen, and that was it. Like I kept up with the information.
Yeah.
And over the years, I've slowly quit doing that because I've just been let down year after year, which is very sad, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. But I assume if they ever come to head and have something there, I'm sure you'll be back and you'll enjoy yourself. But you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
If this isn't
I still come back.
yeah,
now and
obviously
then.
you're
Like,
here.
I was just on the
right?
other day. Yeah.
Right?
I was just playing it the other day and I enjoyed the prison system. It was broken, but I did enjoy it. But I kind of look at that and I go, well, I was showing off all this medical gameplay. I mean, Planetary Landing Tech demo was first shown off in the beginning of 2015, and we
Yeah.
didn't get that till 3.0. I don't know. So I think the community, unfortunately, we're going to continue to be upset, and Chris doesn't realize that. Because we do suck in all this information. The community is going to be upset no matter what. They keep getting let down due to a lack of communication. It's inevitable. You can't fight it. They're going to be mad. Some people will take it to hyper extremes. I've done it before. Some people will brush it off and continue to back the game and call anyone who's upset toxic. That's just what it is. I don't think
I
we're
love
ever
that
going
he
to
called
fix
those
that.
people out too in the post though. I loved that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was
my
so
god,
happy
that made me feel so good. For
Oh,
all you
me
people
too.
that have been putting me down all this time, it was just CR just oh man, he made me feel so good.
I felt
Because the people that are just
amazing.
unequivocally, no matter what they do, it is the right thing to do. It is perfect. They can do no wrong. Yes,
There
even
has been no
Chris
wrong
said
done.
you
have
are
never
toxic.
been told features.
Oh.
I just I made
Oh.
a Spectrum post. 3.1.2. Do you remember Port Olisar? The doors would not open at all
Yeah.
for spawn easy habs. Okay. I spent 5 hours of my time to find a way to glitch through that back wall. And damn it, the first thing I did is I made a Spectrum post showing everyone how to do it within 6 seconds. And immediately there was like 70 plus comments, and one of the moderators ended up turning off commenting on it because people were calling me toxic and you need to report it to the issue council and blah, blah, blah. It's replicated.
Shut up, man.
You can't do this. And I literally told everyone, I responded to him. I said, I'm not going to report this until they have fixed the doors. It's not fair for people to be locked in. Oh, you're toxic. I can't believe you would do that. And I was like, I'm trying to help the community to play the game. Like,
Yeah.
I just,
A proper
so no matter
gamer.
what, community is going to be mad.
Yeah.
There's no fighting that. But I think it can be reduced with some proper communication and explaining why it is that features get cut on a regular basis, because they do, regardless if people want to admit it or not. We
Sure.
are shown things, we are told that it is a live working build, and then we don't get the feature for 2 to 3 years.
Absolutely.
Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no clue. I saw the engineering gameplay and having to start up that original Retaliator in that gameplay, and I was so excited. We still don't have that kind of gameplay right now, to this day, 5 years later.
I don't even remember that. That's
don't
how
know
long
why.
ago it's been. I don't
Yeah,
even remember.
and that's the sad part. I
Yeah.
remember all of that because that's the phase back when I was backing every last detail. I remember
Yeah.
grabbing people on the Capture the Idris demo and watching that. People grab a man by the collar and drag him because they were shooting at people. And just barely got the ability to drag people. And that was just so I heard from someone else when I was on 3.10 just yesterday.
Yeah, you could drag people, but it's jank,
Okay.
of course. Like-
See, I only just heard about it. I don't even know if it's there. And when someone was like, oh yeah, it's really cool now, you can do bounty hunting and drag people, I stopped and I was like, that's weird. They showed that off in 2015, and we're just getting it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. They do need to work on their communication. I
Yeah,
don't
it just
think
comes
Chris
down to
is-
that. It's not it was in 2015. It was hey, what's up? What's going on? Talk to us. And they do. The thing is, they do communicate. It's just, it's so
wrong
broken
things.
up into this ISC that's titled this. How the hell are you ever supposed to know? I think the conclusion to the problem here is maybe something like a weekly community update of what's going on with the project, similar to the weekly roadmap update in text form, putting that in some sort of video form, right? They sort
I
of are doing it on
completely agree.
ISC now with things like their sprint report every 2 weeks, but maybe there should be just some quick, dirty, low quality, hyper, I have to say, the lowest possible effort, hyper low effort, so they don't, do anything crazy, and just let us know what's up every week or every 2
I
weeks
completely
or
agree.
whatever, right? I think
I
that
would say
people can go
once a
back to
week
that.
with a clipboard. Once a week with a clipboard, just
A
jotted down
whiteboard,
notes
yeah,
of
whatever.
what's where, what's broken. Read it off quickly. Currently, salvaging is not working due to X. Currently, flight systems are floaty and slidey because of X. We're working on it. Currently this. That's it. Enjoy the show. Thank
Yeah.
you for coming by. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be anything fancy, but that open communication, it's got to happen. I think another problem too is, and I noticed it when you were talking with everyone else was bringing up that this is Chris's vision to the game, and the previous caller just said it too, is no longer it feels like Chris has a vision for the game and no one knows what it is. In that original pledge piece as well, the first thing is bringing up that they're going to deliver the game that you expect and that the players want.
Well, that was always going to be a
really
lie.
Get too much.
That was
I
always going to
figured
be a
that,
lie,
but
and
the
not a
extent
lie.
that it's at
It's just when they
a falsification.
made that post, I don't know if they fully understood what they were doing, like in terms of what was happening.
Oh, no, not at all. It was
Because-
way too early.
Yeah, because everything that happens, anything they do, anything they show specifically, especially when it looks beautiful, we start imagining our experience in that game. There's no way possible anybody can deliver on that.
Nope.
Because it's different in everyone else's head. They can't deliver on the game I want to play versus the game you want to play, because they're two totally different, not totally different games, but they
Entirely
look
different players as well.
Yeah.
I'm full blown combat and pirate focused. I mean, I've flown around in 3.2 with a Saber Raven, EMPing Connies as they leave different spaceports in order to tell them, hey, you're gonna pay me X amount or I'm gonna blow up your ship. And then they, I just bought cargo, yada yada. And I would tell them, hey, I'm doing this in order to act like as if I can take your cargo, because I can't, unfortunately.
Mhm.
And of course, you're toxic, you're a griefer, this and that. It's like, it's not my fault those features aren't in the game. There's nothing that I can do. Me being combat focused, I agree with all the other combat players that flight needs to be fixed. Everyone brought up that we should increase the acceleration rate, and I agree with that. You brought it up earlier. They said, first, we're going to try X systems, and then if we feel we need to, then we'll turn it up. Why not listen to the mass majority of the community, though?
Because the mass majority of the
weird part. It
community is
doesn't
not a
even have to
fucking
be-
game developer. That's why. That's
Yeah,
why.
But even then, as a game developer, you should still take the initiative to listen to your community. Something as simple as acceleration. Hey, it's a little bit too slow.
But hold on.
We're gonna try this, and then maybe we will.
Because they feel that the thing that they're going to work on
Fix it,
will
is their
resolve that
system.
problem. Yeah, and if it doesn't,
To an extent.
then we'll do that. That's the last
I don't know.
possible
Flight between
thing.
3.8 and 3.10 didn't fix it for me.
No, it didn't, and they never said it would.
I know that. I'm just saying, at least simple workaround, patch it in for a little bit, and then say, hey, at the next patch, we're implementing these different systems. We're going to remove that acceleration and try to fix it.
Yeah.
I think that a hot patch of just turning up the acceleration quickly, which shouldn't be too much. As someone who's an advanced mechatronics engineer, it's not going to take too much to do. Simply dialing up the acceleration to keep the community happy and at bay and feel at least like they're listened to for 2 months until it is that you implement your new technology, rather than make your community suffer for 2 months. It's just illogical at that point.
Yeah, and I guess somebody said Queen SC in chat. I don't normally respond to chat, but he's 100% right. What a bad argument, as if your customers have to be qualified the same way the producers of a product are to yeah, that's a shitty argument. I apologize.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Because I completely understand what it is you're saying, and I entirely agree with you. The massive majority of the community here knows nothing about backend systems or coding.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say a massive, because I do know actually a good amount of the community that does. That core 2,000 initial followers of the community, a lot of people really do, surprisingly.
Sure.
So when that core community is complaining and bitching at something as simple as, hey, acceleration needs to go up, they should listen.
Yeah.
But I am 100% in agreement with you where they do believe that one system that they're planning on implementing will fix it. The issue is how long that those systems take to implement. Something simple
they take
as
how long they
acceleration
take
can fix it.
Yeah,
which is
but
that's
we've
not a
had
good
the thing.
answer.
Here's the thing: is we've had accelerations high, and it had other knock-on issues with the game as a whole. That's why they don't want to do it, and they have communicated that exact point very clearly to me, at least. But I follow the game very closely, so
see, and I don't anymore.
Yeah.
See, so some of us have backed up, and that's I guess that's an issue. Is they need to consolidate where they put their information. Because I have not heard anything about them communicating that was their reason for not wanting to whatsoever.
Yeah.
I don't follow it closely anymore, and so I guess that could also be part of the frustration is where everyone is at in essentially the hierarchy of communication chain.
Yeah.
There's so many different locations, and it's like what you brought up at the beginning. They need to consolidate it down to one source.
Absolutely.
For the most part.
Yeah. But all right, CJs, let me let you go. And we got our final caller coming in. I appreciate your call, man. Thank you. Very clear.
Yeah, no problem.
And thanks, man.
Yeah, have a good one.
You too. All right, and our final caller, Lars the 19th. What's up, dude? How you doing? Hello?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Lars, what's up? I hear you, buddy.
Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, I'm going to turn you up a little bit, though, okay? Don't do anything on your end. I got it.
All right, let me know if it works.
All right, that should be good.
Okay, first of all, I just wanted to let you know I watch this show religiously. I think it's an awesome idea on your end. I watch pretty much all other content creators, and I think we really needed this. And very glad to see you pull it, and the way you face the project itself and your attitude. I think it's amazing.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I think it's important to give people that don't have a platform one where their voice can be heard too. So
yeah, this actually brings me to what I kind of wanted to talk about in your show, which is I've been in the backer of Star Citizen since 2012.
Okay.
And I'm actually a little bit of I'm in a different mood from most of your previous callers.
Okay.
Because I'm actually pretty positive about CR's response this week.
Sure. I think overall it was a positive response. Absolutely.
Yeah, but not because, oh, look, CR is talking. I'm happy to see that he's responding to Cameron, which is another guy that I've been following since his channel had like 10 people giving likes, because he's a passionate backer and he's
a knowledgeable backer.
No, not really knowledgeable. He's very technical.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And he took it upon his own hands to run some very basic in-game testing over and over and over and over of like and he proved, shield holes are a thing.
Yeah,
there's all kinds of issues, and he kept making content, and I always gave him likes, and I'm like, bro, keep it up. That's the kind of stuff I like to see, instead of just content creators that I'm not gonna say names, but like some that like to, they cover nicely, but then at the end you see that they kind of want to push for the game to be the way they want it to be.
Yeah,
I'll put it this way. And anyway, Cameron is a very technical guy, and I like what he sees, and I'm happy to see that Chris actually responded to a content creator like that. You know,
him specifically, it was a cool thing to see. Because
yeah,
if anybody deserves it, it's him.
Exactly, and I think we can all see that he's going through a salty stage, which
Yes.
I went through my salty stage probably every 2 years or so, because I'm here since 2012, and I've been the guy in the forums that is calling people incompetent and how can you do this shit and it looks terrible, blah blah blah. I used to be very present in the forums, and this is when the game had the Hornet, the 300i, and the Constellation, and that's all you had. And I used to make a bunch of posts, you know, the visibility on the Hornet is crap, this is good, this is bad, blah blah blah, and I kept hammering them. And honestly, with time and backlash at the forums, I learned what Chris was saying in his last post, which is you don't get much done or listened to if all you're doing is calling people's names and saying, this is shit, your game is crap, it's taking too long, you lie to us all the time. I learned that through experience and doing it over and over, and it's like, you know, it's not working, you know, and better constructive criticism, providing like a better solution, suggestions, whatever, without calling people out, has worked a lot better. I feel that just from being a backer and being super active in the forums, so before Spectrum, and then of course in Spectrum, and talking to these guys and engaging, I feel that yes, they will listen to us, and in a lot of cases actually, and to me, Chris's response to Cameral is another proof of that. So I was really happy to see him engaging this week. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. Just the fact that he engaged with him, the fact that he engaged at all, and then the fact that he stood up for the company. He stood up for his people. Not that he stood up for the company, that he stood up for the humans in the company. I thought that was super powerful. I thought that was super good, and I was really happy that he did that. And I think what we went on a lot was the details of the post that maybe he doesn't fully understand where our frustration comes from, but it was absolutely warranted and needed that he did that.
Oh, well, the thing is, our frustration, and you mentioned that a lot, we all back Star Citizen to be the game that we expect it to be.
Yeah.
And we also expect it to be the game in our time frame, right? Which him as a CIG in general, they will never tell you this game is going to be ready in 10 years, right? Because then nobody backs it. But that's the reality. It's probably going to be ready in 10 years. I already came to terms with that. I came to terms with actually a lot of stuff. Like, for example, if you see something on this year's CitizenCon, that thing is not going to drop until right before next year's CitizenCon, like the earliest. And you see them struggling like crazy to try to push that because they kind of promised it, you know? So I could see them struggling to try to push Pyro as much as they can before. It's probably not going to happen at this point. But whatever they show there, I never expected in the next couple of months.
Sure.
I don't know if you do, but this has been the cycle.
Right? When you see them say server meshing is coming, that's when Pyro is here. Until then, it doesn't exist. It's just another planet and bunch of moons at this point, right? Like that, you know, it can exist. Pyro could exist. It can be done. But it's just, how do you get there?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And I actually think, you know, on one of your shows, you were asking people, what's if you had magical powers and you could choose one thing to be in Star Citizen today, I would say it's server mashing, because I honestly think
then we have an MMO.
Server mashing, yeah, Yeah, and without that, they're not going to be able to, like, salvaging. The previous caller was talking about another system that they explained the whole system, blah blah blah, and it was never delivered. I remember, man, for salvaging and repair, there was a whole. They laid it down exactly how it was going to be, and the tools you were going to use to repair stuff, and how you were going to salvage parts, and this was years ago, and it didn't happen. And today, I understand it's not going to happen until server meshing is in. And the thing is, a lot of people get really upset when they come to that conclusion, and that's me like 2-3 years ago. So I just learned to go with the flow. You know,
Yeah.
I still follow the content. I think it's amazing because my argument with everybody that's mad, especially the trolls and the people from, you know, a specific refund place that we don't want to talk about, is you can talk shit about Star Citizen all you want. There's no, if I tell you, okay, go play the other game, then there's no other game, right? Nobody else is trying to do something that's even close to this. So we have to just try to understand that these guys are doing something that was never done before, and it's gonna take time, and it may not come out either, you know, because all like what Chris mentioned is everybody hammered the guy because, oh, you're talking about bullets and we're talking about the room system, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why he's talking about bullets is because he's trying to tell you that this is part of a whole interconnected system. These are all the things he would like to have working, so it creates.
So why do you have to interpret what he's saying?
No,
why do you have to be his interpreter? That's what I'm saying. Like, if he just was clear about it and didn't go in these, it's more tangent-y. Even though, yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. I agree. He's showing how it all ties together. But why do we need a freaking interpreter to figure out what he actually means? That's the problem with him. Is he goes off all on these things, but it's just difficult.
I can see, like, for example, another game that has that mechanic that he's mentioned, but it's scripted, is Subnautica. I don't know if you've played Subnautica.
I have. Well, I'm afraid of the ocean, kind of. So I played it to a point, and then I couldn't play it without having extreme anxiety.
Then you probably didn't get to the point where you get the fucking submarine.
No.
The submarine is like you have your own freaking character, because the submarine literally, even though it's a single player game, the submarine literally has like 4 different stations that you have to run around and man them. Like, it's really cool. And depending on how you get attacked on it, some sections of it start catching fire. And you have to literally get your ass off your pilot chair, grab the fire extinguisher and handle it, which is really cool. And what Cameron is saying is, I want it like that. Give me that right now. You know, something that's just scripted. The ship takes over 80% damage. Start fire and let me get up and use my fire extinguisher. To that, again, you have your point. I don't think Chris makes it clear, and I think we need maybe a community manager that is able to pass along these informations in a little bit better fashion. But that's what I see Cameron asking for, and then Chris is telling him, no, it's not going to be scripted. It's not a hit point system, right? Because we have a hit point system right now. And it's going to be damage based by location, which causes malfunctions, which have a chance to cause fire, which you know, and he started talking about all these components. So
I
don't
see where
know.
you're coming from.
Yeah, it sounds really cool, but to a lot of us, we just look at that and we're like, shit, that's gonna take 10 years.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, they got 2 more. Let's see what they could do in the next 2.
Yeah, I'm hoping they release Squadron. I think that I think they're putting all their chips on that. I'm honestly thinking this next CitizenCon is going to be really about that, and then we can,
We'll see.
like you say, then we can finally focus on the game everybody wants. Well, a lot of us want to play, which is the MMO, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm glad you have a more positive look on things and all that, because we did kind of hammer on him a little bit, but I think I just don't think he understands where a good portion of us are coming from. What frustrates us is not the time things take, not necessarily how complicated things are, but more along the lines of not communicating very clearly.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, in the sense that when CR talks, it's good and bad.
Yeah.
But I do like to hear him talk, because he is the face of the company.
It makes me feel good too. It makes me
Yeah.
feel good hearing the vision of the game. Of course, it's very nice. But then a couple weeks later, when you're playing the game and not having a good experience, and you've been playing the game for years and you've heard him over and over again, and you've never experienced the things that he's saying, not the actual things that he's saying, but the experience of them all being tied together. That's where I have a hard time listening to him these days. Is he's tying everything together in his head, but that hasn't happened in the game yet.
What I think, Mike, is we as backers, everybody that follows the project, we should like, don't put all your chips on the table. Like the previous caller was talking about Malagus and all the PvP guys and the combat guys. This is 4 years ago, probably more.
Sure.
These guys are super active and they're talking about how they want the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing this game. You know, Chris is a very, very visual guy. You can tell that, like, all the stupid memes of him, like, making these hand movements and all that. And he's looking at everything from a visual point of view. Like, anyway, what I'm trying to get to is combat. For most of the patches that the PvP guys really like, were ships strafing sideways and backwards, right? Let's be honest. Were ships with super...
we're not getting into this. Nope.
Huh?
I don't want to get into this too much. Just
No,
so
no,
you
no,
know.
no. But what I'm saying is, I always thought that's not how he would want combat to be. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, as long as we get in there and not... Yeah.
No.
Because I know where this is going to go. You're going to get attacked, and it's going to be a mess.
Yeah. And I don't even mean, because I don't have a specific preference on that either.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, they throw elements in the game.
There's no denying that Strafe was powerful then. So.
Oh yeah, it was super powerful. But was it visually appealing? As in, if you see 10 people fighting, strafing, does that look good? You know, to show off as gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I learned to not get attached to mechanics when they come out. Like, okay. I don't want to be... Example right now, let's get out of combat, because I understand it's a sore subject. Let's talk about mining.
Sure.
I wouldn't put all my chips into being and I've been mining a lot, by the way, but I wouldn't put all my chips into being the greatest miner in the universe and set up all my controllers so I can do ultimate mining, blah blah blah, and I'm super attached to that, because we know right now that mining can change completely, right? A year from now. And I think that's all the systems in this game. So I see a lot of these guys that get really upset, like again, like Malagus, is people that they got really invested, and then these guys changed how flight mechanics work completely.
Yeah.
And we have to come to terms that this is gonna keep happening.
Yes, I mean it is, and it's just it's frustrating though.
It is, because I don't feel that CR actually. I know him just like everybody else. He wants it to be good, but I don't like a lot of these specific features. I don't feel that he really knows exactly how he wants it. You know, I feel like he's throwing stuff at the wall and seeing whatever works.
Yeah.
And that's the ugly side of this.
I don't think that's what's happening. I think that there's a clear plan. I don't think it's been communicated that well.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. And I don't know if it's even communicated throughout the company very well. It seems like it's all just in Chris's head.
Yeah,
right?
that's
and it's hard to put it on paper and share with everyone. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's me, so I don't know. But I guess if you have nothing else you want to add, I do got to get running because it's almost time to go to work. So
No.
Yeah.
No. That's all. Thank you for the
Good.
opportunity.
Hey,
Great
thank
show.
you for coming. Thank you for the
I'll
kind
keep
words.
watching, and hopefully I'll be here at some point again.
I would love
when
to
I-
have you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mike. Have
Yeah.
a good one.
I just hope we find a topic that you're excited about. That's what I try to figure out every week. It's tough sometimes.
Yeah.
All right,
Take care,
man.
man.
Have a good one. All right, guys. That'll do it for today's Answer the Call. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure you hit the like button, leave comments, all of that stuff. That is very, very important. It does help us out with the algorithm and everything. I think we had a really great show today. I think we kind of hit home what was important to us and how important that post really was, right? In every way, it either opened up lines of communication for us, or it also, gave somebody like Camerel, who deserves as much credit as anybody, some credit, and so on and so forth. So, guys, again, I appreciate watching. Do all the YouTube stuff, and I'll catch you guys next week. All right? Have a great one, guys. Bye.